Welcome to the Recruitment Business Accelerator Podcast. Creating a successful recruitment business is not about you being the best hands-on biller or driving most of the activity for your team. It's about you becoming the best strategist, marketer, and leader so that you can create a powerful business that grows quickly and does not depend on you. For the last 10 years, Nikki Coffin and Katie Green have been advising recruitment business owners just like you to do exactly that. If you want to grow your business by 20% to 250% in 6 months or less, half your hours, and build a powerful recruitment business that doesn't depend on you, keep listening. If you want it faster, visit centeredexcellence.co.uk/apply. Here's Nikki and Katie.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this week's podcast. And I am super delighted to be here this afternoon with the incredible, the awesome Dawn Bannister from KSB Recruitment. Welcome, Dawn.
Hi everybody. Thank you. Thanks
Wonderful. Welcome. Great to have you here. And thank you so much for being generous with your time in doing this session with me today. So, Dawn is truly one of the most awesome business ladies and recruitment business owners I know. In her previous life, she has built and run huge teams in big recruitment firms and then turned her hand to creating her own recruitment empire, which she built very successfully, and then switched professions to becoming a midwife. So no end to her talents. And then I think, if I'm correct, you can obviously correct me if I'm wrong, Dawn. Less than 2 years ago, was it? You jumped back in and took the reins back on your business, on your recruitment business. And in that time, in fact, I calculate it about just 18 months, you have transformed that business from, fair to say, underperforming business to a super high-flying business that is set to achieve an incredible 1.6 million this year. So some of you might recognise Dawn from a previous podcast, actually, that Nikki did, which I think, again, was about a year ago, was it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and then in that podcast, I know Dawn shared the first leg of her journey in rebuilding the business. And today, I am absolutely delighted and honoured to be here with Dawn, where we're going to share secrets, 5 top secrets that Dawn has to share with you, which is all around how she rebuilt that business. And specifically, we're going to hone in on the second phase of that journey, on things that have been happening for Dawn in the last 12 months. So I know what Dawn has to share with all of you today is going to change the way you do things within your business. So here's the heads up. Grab a pen, grab some paper, stay tuned with us for about the next 30 minutes as we walk you through the detail, the steps that Dawn has taken and is still taking that you can use in your own business to get the same results. So, yeah, I'm super excited to be here. So, Dawn, would you mind giving an intro to yourself and your business for everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've got to follow on from that, really, Katie. So, yeah, it was exactly 2 years ago. Well, 2 years and 1 month that I came back and took the reins through various reasons why. But anyway, I'm back at the helm. And to say that I'm truly excited about being back is an understatement, really. I really have got the passion back. I love my business because it means I get to do all sorts of crazy other things too. So being back within KSB, I love my job, I love what I do, and I love seeing the results of the actions that I take come into fruition. It's just absolutely amazing. And when I came back in the October of 2017, the business at that time, I didn't know how bad things were because we were really busy. But when I looked at the figures, it was like so 2017 we did 400,000 turnover, and now we're looking at this year achieving probably in excess of 1.6 million. So to say it's been hard work, graft, again, is an understatement, but it's also been really, really enjoyable. So when we achieved our target for last year's year end, which actually I can read you a snippet of when I first joined Rocket. So I've been reviewing my notes, and so in March 2018 was, what specifically do you want? What would you like to celebrate this time next year? So mine was to achieve growth in my business, and I think we can tick that off.
Yeah.
And the target was 750,000 for 2018. Build the temp desk, increase client base, start niche market within contract catering, etc., etc. So all of that I can tick off and say, yes, we achieved and some. In fact, January of this year, because we exceeded 2018's target, all of the staff were treated to a trip to Disneyland Paris for a nice long weekend to celebrate. So we work hard, but we play hard too.
Excellent, and that's really important.
Yeah, definitely.
Fabulous. And there's so much power, I think, as we were saying earlier, so much power in that intention setting of that goal and actually writing that down. Because when you, rather than typing it, in fact, when you actually are writing it with your own pen and using your own hand, there is something very powerful about setting that intention. And of course, part of that exercise was the visualization. And again, as we both know, the visualization itself has so much power behind it, just setting that intention and being able to visualize that happening. And it means that even though you might not necessarily have been looking at it every single week, day in, day out, you've set the intention, you have that vision for that, for you in the business, and actually you've just followed through on that.
I think in my case, there was a belief and a language, very much a belief and a language shift. So, for example, I came back and I was very much using the language, I am in the process of, and that became a bit of a mantra for me. We are in the process of. And that writing down is, you're absolutely spot on, Katie, because what I did, and anybody who comes to work with you or anybody who does work with you will know how much you embrace the 90-day plans. And the 90-day plans to me is so critical to achieving your business goals, because they break it. What the 90-day planning does is breaks it down into manageable chunks. So you look at things and you say, oh, that's 12 months away, and yeah, I might achieve that, and it's a great dream. But actually, when you break it down into those manageable chunks, you're reviewing what you do every single week, and you know the little shifts that you have to make then in order to get closer to achieving your goal. But also, what I would do with my 90-day plans is I would do a spider drawing. So I'd have my ultimate 90-day goal in the middle, and then the spider's legs would be all of what I wanted to achieve and the date I wanted to achieve it by, and it would be titled In the Process Of, and that was on the wall behind me for every 90-day period. I haven't written one for this year, for this period, which is very naughty, but I do still use my 90-day planner religiously every single day, because that's part of my toolkit.
And, that's exactly you're right. So the power of that is the fact that you set that intention for the 90 days. But the power around that 90-day plan is the process of chunking it down, as you said, to bite-sized chunks that make it much more manageable, if you like, and digestible to make sure that you're implementing. And actually what you're doing in that is you're then setting what are the business critical actions that I need to take. So it really helps you with people that sometimes can't see the wood for the trees or suffer with overwhelm. Actually very much removes the chatter, shall we say, of what can go on around us whenever we're implementing plans and projects. And it actually really zones us in. It gives us that sort of laser focus that we need on, okay, what is it that's going to make the biggest difference to my business this week, this month, this quarter, that's actually going to move us powerfully in the direction that we want to go.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And then you mentioned there, because I think it would be really really worthwhile sharing with people, you know, when you just said, and it is our mantra, I'm in the process of, would you mind just explaining what you mean by that?
It's about mindset and belief, and it's about sending that message out there to, and for those that don't believe, I apologize, but sending that message out there to the universe that actually you are in the process of. By saying, oh, I am going to achieve, or I'm going to do, doesn't have the power that I'm in the process, because your body reacts, that vibration reacts very differently to, it's a process. All of what you're doing is part of that process to achieving your goal. And again, it's just the mindset behind, I am in the process of.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And the beauty of saying I'm in the process of becoming, you know, a multi-million recruitment business owner, or I'm in the process of building £1 million recruitment business, is it's plausible as well for our mind. Because if we said, you know, for example, if we took you back to where you said 2017 and you're doing 400k, and then you turned around and said to yourself that day, right, at the moment I'm operating at 400k, so, you know, tomorrow I have a business worth $1 million. The belief, as you were mentioning there, is, well, hold on a minute, I'm doing 400, am I definitely going to do $1 million? Whereas if you say, well, I'm in the process of building a business which is turning over £1 million, yeah, that feels plausible, and that your mind can actually understand that that's believable too. So you're right, yes, a little bit woo-woo for some, although also scientific, because that is how the neuro pathways work in our brain too. Great.
And I do think it was all very woo-woo. Although I do believe in the woo-woo, this was really, really woo-woo and out my comfort zone. But actually, when I look back over the last 2 years, it's all true. And you've got to believe it. And belief and mindset is absolutely key. Really is.
You're so right. You're so right. And, you know, I mean, you know, we could say it's woo-woo, but actually, when you think about beliefs, and you think about what you believe, you know, we all have a set of beliefs, don't we? And you know that when you believe something, there's no question mark on it, is there? But when you don't believe, then actually it doesn't feel like that could possibly be true. So it's almost beliefs, if you like, in that sense, are, well, is it true or is it false? So, you know, as a business owner, it's important to believe that that's possible for you. Otherwise, it's false, isn't it? So we're working towards something which isn't achievable.
Yeah.
So not to be underestimated, you're absolutely right. So let's get into, because you've got some, you know, we've kind of had a discussion around those key areas, if you like, that you've been implementing in the last 12 months that have made that significant difference, and distilled that down to sort of 5 key processes that I know you've been using this year that have really made that difference for you. So let's take it back to, would it be March time when you reset? What was one of the things that, or the first things that you implemented or that you changed, which I know you were talking to me around sort of structural differences in terms of reporting and, you know, data and what you were using at that point to really help you keep that alignment. What was one of the things that you changed there and started doing more of?
Well, one of the key things was stripping back the role of the recruiter to taking it away from the traditional 360. There is one member of staff that remains as 360, but there's a rationale behind that. But the majority of the staff now in the office who are recruiters working the 240 model. So I absolutely believed in what you talked about in splitting these roles off. And to have somebody who's really good at delivering a fantastic service to the clients is not necessarily the same person who's going to be on the phone making the sales calls. To me, they're a completely different beast. And so the perm team I split, so that we had a delivery and client focus, delivery candidate focused. We did have a girl in who was doing part-time BD, but that unfortunately fell by the wayside just because of timekeeping issues. And then on the temp desk, what I did was I stripped that back and I looked at the 360 recruiter on there, and he was taking on an awful lot of unnecessary administrative duties. So I brought somebody in who could offload, who was very, very structured, organised, methodical, all the things that this particular person was not in flow with, and delegated a lot of those roles over to her. So then he could work sales, sales delivery, but he also does the candidate side as well. But he hasn't to do endless amounts of administration, and that has worked beautifully. And in fact, she's so good at her job, I'm giving her more and more and more because she just laps it up. She's like a sponge. So for my business, restructuring people's roles it's resulted in an increase in workflow, but people are happier in their roles because they know they've got to do delivery and talk to the clients and fill the jobs, or they know that they've got to do they know exactly what they've got to do, when they've got to do it, and what they're tasked with each day, rather than getting buried in admin tasks or things that take them out of flow.
Yeah, exactly. And so for some people listening, because I know quite often when I talk to recruitment business owners who are still using the 360 about, changing that model and actually switching it, whether it's to 240 or 120, some of the reservations or concerns, let's say, about doing that would be, okay, but how are my 360 consultants who love doing 360, how are they going to embrace that? First of all, how will I get them bought in on using a different model? What would you recommend or say to them?
I would say take it back to what's their why. So for a lot of recruiters, it's about earning big money. So if we took this out, say, for example, you had a consultant and then you brought in a 120 resourcer, left them to do, the consultant to do 240, if they can actually place more candidates and increase their billings by 2 a month, what actual effect does that have on their bonus targets, and how much more will that mean to them at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, and at the end of 12 months? If that puts 12, 15,000 a year on their salary, why wouldn't they do it? Bring me 6 resources any day if it means I actually, as a consultant, I can bill more.
And you mentioned that people are more in flow and happier. What do you mean by that then? What's that difference made by moving from doing all 3, if you like, of the functions to, let's say, 2 of them?
Because sometimes people can get buried in the admin tasks. So either they don't get done, or you've got the opposite where people hide behind the admin tasks, or the tasks that they don't particularly want to do. So it's easy to hide behind those. And when you take the figures at the end of a week and they say to you, well, actually, I got bogged down with the advertising or sourcing lots of candidates because it was difficult to find candidates this week. So that's why my sales calls haven't been made. Well, actually, is that the best use of the time? And that's what it comes down to. So A, they can hide behind it, or B, they cannot do it because they don't like doing it. So give them what they're good at, give them what they like doing, and you'll get more of it.
And you say you've seen productivity rise from that. What kind of difference has that made on either time to fill or ratios, for example, conversions of your service level?
Significantly increased, as we can see with the turnover figures. And they really have got more time to spend either talking to the clients or talking to the candidates, working the candidates, really building that candidate relationship with the candidate consultants, the client, the delivery and the sales side. Again, they're building that relationship with the clients, they can go and see them, they can take them out for lunch. It's more about building relationships because they're not bogged down with time consuming activities. So I haven't got specifics for you, Katie, I'm sorry, in terms of ratios today, but I can tell you, you know, the amount of business we are writing now has significantly increased as a result of just splitting roles off.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Because I think when we spoke the other day, you were mentioning about what I picked up on. I was wondering about there was, do you remember when you said you had about 27 a day roles that were coming in at one point that weren't being filled? But this was actually about, as you say, taking things more off their plate, which was what can I ensure that I put in place to make sure that I fill them. So you had a really interesting kind of almost like reframe or question you were asking yourself when things in the process weren't being, let's say, as efficient as you would like. And then you sort of flipped it with a question to yourself, which was, okay, actually, what can I change in the process, or what do I need to put in, take away, change within the process rather than my people that will make sure that I am filling more of the vacancies in that time frame?
I think one of the things that we did was we obviously looked at the gold job scenario. So while all these jobs were coming in, which was fantastic, we needed to look at how fillable these jobs were and where my consultants were making the best use of their time. So were they looking for candidates that they absolutely weren't going to find in areas that were not accessible, and with clients that really didn't fit our avatar and didn't have a buy-in with us either. So, oh, well, we've got this out with 6 other agencies, and yeah, if you've got anybody, then great, but we're only going to pay 10%. So there were all sorts of yes, but. So we really nailed it with the clients that we wanted to work with and looked at the gold job structure. Were these clients that wanted to work with us, were they buying into our philosophy and beliefs and values as a business? Were they accepting of our terms and conditions of business? Would they pay their fees on time? Would they interview within a set structure? All of the things that say, yes, 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 we want to work with this client. And the clients that fell by the wayside, that's okay, because there's enough out there for us all, really. But it meant then that the consultants were spending time being productive rather than wasting time sourcing the roles that they were never going to fill.
Yeah.
So that meant reduced our stock, but it increased our fillability.
Right. And that in itself can be a mindset shift, can't it, for recruitment business owners, which is, hold on a second, what? I'm going to actually turn jobs away, turn clients away. What am I doing?
Yeah, it was a massive mindset. It was like, well, we always deal with these. Really? How hard are these jobs to find? How much time do we have to spend trying to find the right person? And then they interview and go to second stage and they go, oh, well, we've put somebody on an internal promotion. Well, thanks for that. We've just spent X amount of time dealing with this. So, you know, the clients that had messed us about in the past, we just let fall by the wayside. We didn't say, look, we don't want to trade with you anymore, but they just fell by the wayside naturally because we just stopped ringing them with candidates. And we put those candidates forward to clients that we wanted to work with and actually respected the service that we were offering, respected the work that we do, and wanted very much to work with us in partnership.
So you got really clear on, and you were using a couple of processes that you talked about there in terms of gold jobs and most placeable candidates. So you got really clear on what are the two, if you like, clear processes that we're going to implement within the business on the teams to improve productivity, but actually to almost reduce our workload, but get, like you're saying, quality over quantity. So get smarter with what we're doing and who we're working with from a customer point of view. talk to us about what you did around that team accountability as well, and the team individuals, because you got very clear and you worked very smartly around how to gain that buy-in from the team and how to gain more autonomy and encourage more empowerment with your team, didn't you? What was it that you implemented there?
Communication, opened up the communication lines, which I thought were really, really important, because they're looking at me and saying, oh, well, here she is, she's waltzing back in here, she hasn't been here for a number of years and she's making this change, and we're quite happy doing what we do. So I had to re-engage the team, and I had to get that buy-in as well, and get them to buy into this new belief that actually we could achieve and that you could really earn some good money out of this. So obviously I talked to them. So the first thing I did when I came back from Rocket was have a big team meeting. These are the most fantastic things that we're going to put in place, and I want to work with you on these. So we had the group meeting, then we took that down to the monthly accountabilities, or the monthly review meetings, weeklies, and we would do, what we also did was the daily accountability meeting, sorry. So on a Monday we would set the intentions for the week, or set the intention and then break that down, set the intentions for the day. But each day we were then following up with, well, what happened to that yesterday? So they were then not only accountable to me, but they were accountable to their peers. That actually I said I would make 10 sales calls yesterday and I didn't make any. And because I would ask that question, well, why? They didn't want to appear to be shirking, I guess. So they took action. They really took massive action. And I also showed them the work that I'd done with you and Nikki, because I think that's really important for them to see what I was seeing, for them to try to get that buy-in as well. So the MPC work, which was fantastic, the bulk jobs, they watched the videos. So rather than me just saying this is what we will do, they watched the videos, they understood the process, and then they would go and roll it out. And then I'd get feedback about how did that feel? Was there anything that you felt that you needed a bit more input on? So it was just working. It wasn't micromanaging, but it was ensuring that there was a smooth pathway to that transition, taking us from a little business that was ticking over to being in the process of building that big business again. Well, not even a big business, but that £1 million business that was successful again.
Highly profitable business. And you're right, it's not about the size, it's not about, the amount of times that I say this to people, it's not about the headcount, it's actually, working smarter and having a more profitable business. That's the important part, not the turnover so much, but the profitability, isn't it? So there with you, what I picked up on that, Dawn, which is really important, I think, for others, is that follow-up piece, isn't it? Because so many business owners will, first of all, they're juggling so many different things at any one time anyway. They often feel as though their time is very limited for them to do follow-ups. But not only that, it's that power of the follow-up, because if you set something for somebody but you never follow it up, then often what will happen is they will stop taking that action. But as you said, they knew that actually Dawn's going to ask me that question, so I have to make sure that I've done that action. So that's really, really key. Did you use any, or what did you use to help you to make sure you followed up? Did you have any mechanisms or tools that you used for that?
My 90-day plan. So every day I was setting my intentions. What are my intentions today? My 3 key activities, and then the other activities. So I would plan ahead. So I'd perhaps put it into my Google Calendar, but I would also plan ahead. I had it in my notes anyway. These are what their people had committed to doing certain activities. So then in my 90-day planner, I'd write up exactly what I needed to speak to people about.
Yeah.
My 90-day plan's my Bible.
And that's interesting because, as we've said, you're a natural entrepreneur, strategic thinker, what we call a creator. And so process and detail isn't normally something that you would naturally like or want to do. And yet, so what made that process work for you? So I'm thinking for other people out there who would be saying, look, I'm just not detail orientated, and I hear what you're saying, but I've tried plans, I've tried writing a to-do list, I've tried plans, it just doesn't work for me. What's the difference for you in that? What is it about it that makes that work as a creator?
There's two things there. One is eat the frog. So in the morning when you come in, you've got to eat that frog and you've got to write down your daily intentions. So it takes 2 minutes while you're having a cup of tea and your computer's booting up, is write down what you intend to do that day. Because then it's set in, you're asking your staff to do something that you're not prepared to do yourself.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bit slapstick, really. So cup of tea, computer's booting up, set your daily intention. So it's there. But also what I've done is my superstar administrator on the temp desk, who is fast becoming my right-hand woman, I delegate the KPIs over to her. So each day she collates all of the figures. So I know she knows all the CVs that have gone out, temps out, placements, the whole lot. And then she just emails me a summary at the end of the week, and I can put that into my scorecard, job done. And I know then that I haven't got to keep beating on the consultants if they're not giving their figures in, or they're giving me a little bit of lip service as to why, because Ellie will beat on them, and she's actually more scary than I am. So, put the process in place, delegate it out to somebody who's in flow at doing that.
Yeah, perfect. And even if, let's say, you don't have somebody who works for you full time that could do that, that could be something that you could get, a friend to do, or a part-time, maybe, one of those virtual PAs for like an hour. Yeah. I mean, how long does it take her to do that for you?
Not very long at all. You can outsource it.
So you could get that outsourced. So you've moved us on quite nicely, because I wanted to talk to you about your drilling down, on figures and the activity levels, and getting clear on numbers. And, we talk about regulating emotion on data. So tell us what and how you use or have been using figures and stats to support you to get the improvement in productivity through your team.
The tiny tweaks. Mm-hmm. So you look at how many CVs, your analysis. So if you haven't got the previous data, you can't look at what's working within your business and what's not working within your business. So for me, I need to know how many candidates are being registered, how many CVs are going out, how many people are being spoken to, how many vacancies, rah. And then I can look at the ratios, and then I can say, well, actually, if you sent one more CV out a day, then this would be the result, and you would earn XYZ more money. So it's enabled me to put a nice little target in place for the perm team, particularly between now and the end of the year, that these are how many CVs they need to get out a week. These are how many interviews they need to have, first interviews, second interviews a week. And the result will be, if they do that, X at the end of the year. And so far we're above target. So we're only 2 weeks in for this period.
Awesome. And, one of the things that a lot of people, again, feedback that we get, what people are concerned about, and I understand, rightly so in many ways, is about this micromanaging and, then using key success factors, as we call them, or some, people do call them, don't they? KPIs, whatever word we want to use. What would be your sort of, let's say recommendation, but from your point of view, what do you think the numbers, or why do you think they are essential, and how you can help your team with those numbers specifically?
I think the numbers are important because you need to know whether there's a spray and pray going on, whether they are really dealing with the quality, getting the quality of candidates for the clients. So that's kind of looking at it from a negative, but you also need to look at it and say, well, am I giving them enough resources for them to to find the candidates for the roles that they're getting in. They're getting, if I looked at it and I said, you know, we were only filling 1 in 20 jobs that were coming into the business, then I'd take that analysis back and say, well, why are we only filling 1 in 20? Is it you're not going back, you need to go back to your gold job process? Or you're not following that as effectively as you could be? Is it because there really is a shortage of good candidates and we need to widen our net in terms of how we look for candidates to fill these roles? What's going on with the average fees? If I looked at it and said, well, last quarter we were doing an average fee of 4K and now we're doing an average fee of 3.2. What's going on here? Is there something going on in the market? So those figures, as much as I'm not in flow with that sort of thing, the analysis has got to be there in order for you to grow your business. Because unless you know those figures, you have no idea what's going on in the business from one week to another. You can't plan.
No, you're absolutely right. And how quick do you think somebody, you know, if somebody is a little bit, let's say, figures allergy, has an allergy to figures, how quick do you think it is for people to get their heads around it? Because that's the reason people stop, isn't it? Is because, you know, I don't like them personally, so I don't want to use them for other people. Or maybe I feel a little bit underconfident using them.
I think once you analyse your figures and you go, oh, okay, this is how much more money I could make if I just made that tiny little tweak of 1 CV a day or 1 CV a week, could put I know of somebody else, it put a lot of money, and I'm talking over $250,000 on their bottom line, by making some tiny little tweaks. And when you realise that, it's like, wow, it is really, really an awakening. And I have balked at the figures, and sometimes I do them, sometimes I don't in the past. But now it is, you know, it's as religious as logging onto my bank account to have a look at what the bank's doing on a daily basis. That's how ingrained the figures are with me now. It's absolutely ingrained, because if I know what the problem is via the figures, I can tweak it. So I don't get to the end of 90 days and say, why haven't we achieved that target? What's gone wrong? I know in week 3 of that 90-day period that I need to tweak this, or I need to tweak the advertising, or increase my SEO budget, or whatever that might be. I absolutely know that through the figures. Way ahead of the game. And then I can look at the end of my 90 days and go, that's why we.
And, you know, it's, I totally agree with you. I know it made the biggest difference for me in my business was when I got comfortable and understood that the figures were my GPS to ever achieving what I wanted to achieve. And in fact, they're your friend, not your foe. I think that was a big thing for me. That made the difference. Oops. We've lost Dawn for a moment. Hopefully she'll be back any second. But yeah, just saying how important those figures are as Dawn rejoins us. Just saying how important those figures are. And I was just saying there, Dawn, you know, for me, they became my friend, not my foe. And I think that's really important, is for people to understand that their areas are positive. They're not there to beat somebody over the head with. They actually are a signpost to how you improve your business and where the opportunities are. So you're right. So just recapping on some of the things that we've talked about so far then, because we've talked about getting that accountability from your individuals, using the numbers. I mean, as you say, that's sort of like, you know, your daily ritual, your absolute must, like a cup of tea in the morning. Making sure that you have those processes in place that people can use. So we were talking about the structure, the process, the NPCs, the gold jobs, which for other people, I mean, that's our language here in our community. For other people, that will be making sure that you are working on, you know, those avatar candidates. So who are your most profitable candidates and who are your most profitable clients and most profitable jobs? Probably the easiest way of defining that. We also talked about the model and making stripping that back so people are in flow, and definitely not working the 360, but actually working to their areas of strength and productivity. And as you were saying, that stops the excuses, and actually even in itself, it gains the accountability.
Yeah.
What else do you think is really important from a sort of consistency point of view, in terms of getting that consistent? Because I know we were talking about directors must-have tools a few days ago, you know, having that really to achieve that consistent high performance. And you talked about, you know, making sure that you have that consistency. Is there anything more that you think is important to add there for people on that?
From a director's point of view, and I've given it quite a lot of thought since we spoke, Katie, and from a director's point of view, having that accountability in the group, being part of the Rockstars group is absolutely fundamental to my success. It really is. And that's not a cliche, because I'm sitting on a podcast this afternoon. I was having a conversation with somebody else, and I said exactly the same thing. I really genuinely don't think I would be sitting here where I am today without the support of the group. The power of the group is just unbelievable. And yes, we have our accountabilities every week, and we fill in our accountabilities. And, you know, what have we achieved? What are the 3 things that we've achieved this week? What's been our all these sorts of things that we put in. And there's times when you think, well, it's a bit repetitive. I don't need to put anything in this week. But oh no, you do need to put it in every single week. You need to be accountable to your peers. And the support network is unbelievable. You know, you can put personal things in there too. But to be to go to the events and be with your group and have that camaraderie, and then to have the power of the phone calls every alternate weeks or every week with the other group, the training sessions that we have, and then the quarterly get-togethers, is just the power of it. As a director, it takes away that loneliness, and it is, as an independent recruiter, it gives you the feel that you're part of a bigger organisation, because you've got other people to bounce off who understand what you're going through, and the tears and the blood and the sweat, they understand it too, because they've either been there or they're going through it themselves. That is where the real power is, and that's what the value, all of this NPC, and it's all lovely to have, and it's revolutionised my business, but the power's in the group.
Yeah, and you're right, and that is about the community, and that is about the people in the community, and the quality, I think, of the people in the community, because the entrepreneurs, the recruitment business owners that are in our community, I mean, if I had been in that position, you know, when I was building a business, I think we have some very, very smart and very generous people with their time. I'm always surprised how much people share in the community and on the groups and in the calls and at the events. And you're right, it is wonderful. So I think for anyone listening, obviously we have the Recruitment Business Accelerator community, but you know, Rocket is, and Rockstars, our communities there are much more active, if you like, on a day-to-day basis, aren't they, in terms of what's happening. But if you don't have that support mechanism, if you don't have that accountability yourself as a director, then it's, whether it's us or whether it's someone else, it's very well worth investing in, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's worth it just for the support, like you say, the community. It's just worth it for that alone.
Yeah.
Because it really is that mindset and the loneliness as a director. And having been, I can look back on the years where, I mean, I started doing what I'm doing back in 1991, and I always thought that my road had to be the same as Tim Watts of Pertence, you know, and that I had to achieve this 100 million and have this big ball. And you don't. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. You can actually be an SME, be really profitable, and have a really good work-life balance, and have those people around you that you would have if you were part of somebody like Pertemps, like-minded people with the same beliefs and values. It's amazing, truly amazing.
You're absolutely right. Well,
it's off to you and Katie for coming up with such a fantastic concept for recruitment business owners, because I know I say this on behalf of the group. We love you dearly, and we love the support that we get.
Straight back at you. Thank you very much. Thank you. And we're very grateful to work with the people that we work with. And I mean, it's wonderful, and it's so lovely to help people and to share everything that we can too. So, well, thank you, Dawn, so much. Any passing words before? Any other words of wisdom to share before we part, with any that you want to add that you think we haven't covered this afternoon?
Two things. Firstly is just believe, because you believe and you can do it. But secondly, and I say this with sincerity, if anybody does, if they want to email me directly at dawn@ksbrecruitment.co.uk for any further tips and feedback about Centred Excellence and the group that you run, if you want any information at all, don't hesitate to ask. I'm more than happy to help. So, they're my two parting words. And thank you again, Katie.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for sharing so much with everybody today, and your amazing journey, because it's so inspirational for people. And that's what people, gives them the belief, is that actually this is doable. I can have that work-life balance. I don't have to be in my business 24/7. I don't have to be chained to it. There is an alternative. There is another way. And that's what we want people to know. And that's what we want people to be able to achieve for themselves. So thank you so much for your generosity this afternoon, Dawn. It's been awesome. You've been epic. And thank you all for watching, guys, whether you're watching this live with us or whether you're watching this on catch-up. Thank you so much for watching. Take those steps, take those processes that Dawn has shared, implement them into your business, and you will get results, I promise you, straight away. So, and if you need any further support, you know where we are. So great to have you all on the call. Thank you so much. And we will talk again soon. Bye for now, guys.
Bye. Bye.